everyone, again, welcome back to my channel, and we are in the library, so it's book time. And this video is about books for Paris. I mean, not books, let's just rephrase here, books to put you in the mood for a visit to Paris. If you're gonna go, and I'll be going in about 2 months from now, from the time that I'm filming this video, will be a little shorter time, hopefully, by the time that I put it up. These books will explain to you what Paris is about, what to look out for. Some are guides, some are philosophical, so I have like about 7, okay? And these are not all my books about Paris, but let's just say that the videos to put you in, you know, for literature to put you in the mood to go there. This is not for everyone. It's called At the Existentialist Cafe. And it has a lovely cover. And, you know, comes off the jacket. And even here, the frontispiece has lovely drawings. This is obviously a philosophical work, and it does have some pictures here and there, but nothing. This is Martin Heidegger and Husserl. Existentialism gained foot in Europe in between the 2 world wars, basically, and particularly, you know, around the Second World War. And Sartre, Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir are 2 of the major existentialists, but there were others. Martin Heidegger is the big one when it comes to existentialism, and the most extreme, I would say. Merleau-Ponty, which reminds me so much of my father, not in his philosophy, but in the way he looked. Albert Camus, they all were contemporaries of that time. And existentialism basically claims that you exist independent of pretty much whether you want to exist or not, and puts responsibility of your own existence in you, what you want to do with that responsibility, with your life. You are pretty much what you become. Hence that famous phrase of Simone de Beauvoir about not being born a woman but becoming one. Well, because you are here in this world, but it's your responsibility to pretty much become what you're going to be. It's a very, very succinct explanation, not very appropriate at all, about existentialism. When I bought this book, and this book came out in 2016, at the end of 2016, I started reading and I said, oh, this is so heavy reading. But then this year I knew I was going again, and I picked it up again, and I thought that it's actually very, very engaging, because yes, it explains the doctrine, and, you know, not just existentialism, but also the doctrines that, you know, took footing at the time. Explains Husserl as well. But it gives you a biographical context of each philosopher, what they were doing, what they were going through, and how they came to those thoughts. And it's huge, very interesting as a biography, and also as geographical work, because it puts you in the place of this, where these things happen. And it's just an excellent book. And it's called At the Existentialist Cafe. When at the beginning the writer tells us, let's just walk in, pretend that we're in Café de Flore, and there's this table with Simone de Beauvoir and Jean-Paul Sartre, and we're just overhearing a conversation. And that's the way that the book is written. So very, very engaging. Yes, it can be heavy, and not everyone can like something like this. Kudos to the writer. I mean, Sarah Bakewell did a fantastic job. This is, I think, was a thesis or something. Excellent, excellent from that perspective. But yes, want to particularly put you in the mood. And if you're going to be in around Montparnasse area, which I will be, this is really the work to deliver you there. Another one, and this is mostly a historical context. The Hotel on Place Vendôme. I plan to go have tea at the Ritz in Paris. This is the story of the Ritz and what went on at the Ritz, the personalities that were at the Ritz. And some of the revelations here are shocking, like what I found about the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, especially about the Duchess. It just shocked me. Hemingway is also prominently portrayed here because Hemingway, when he became famous and after he became famous, he was quite a habitué of the Ritz. And it shows and it tells here the story of how he went and liberated the Ritz from the Nazis when, you know, the end of the war came. But it's a very, very interesting book. The background of the hotel is here, even ending with the purchase of the hotel by Mohammed Al-Fayed. So another interesting one, especially if you're going to, well, if you're lucky, staying at the Ritz, or if you're going to visit, like I will, hopefully. Here it is. Nice work. All right, this is a book that came out a few years ago, and I read and reread every time. I've read it about 4 times. This is Parisian Chic. This is by Inès de la Farsange. And as you can see, I have it all bookmarked there. This is an awesome book. It just gives you, it has 4 major divisions. What are they? Dress Like a Parisian, Belle of the Ball, Chez Moi, and Inés's Paris. So the first part is just geared as to what you wear as a Parisian. The second one is regards beauty. The third one is home life and how Parisians live at home and how they entertain. There's even a couple of recipes here. And the fourth one, it just gives you addresses where to go. Shops, hotels, restaurants, obviously places to visit, museums. This is an excellent, excellent guide because it's not just a guide of places to go in Paris, but it gives you the philosophy of Paris. And especially if you are a newbie going to Europe and if you've lived in America and you are a born American here, you need to be aware of certain things and not be ridiculous like a lot of Americans are in Europe. So this, highly recommended in that instance. And in general, I mean, if you are a, you know, Parisian lover, French lover of all things, it's still a, you know, a great gift also. Essential. Paris Through a Fashion Eye. These are lovely, lovely books. They make excellent gifts by the Megan Hess, which is an illustrator, who is an illustrator. She illustrated Sex and the City. These are gilded in gold here, and it tells you, again, this is just a list of places to go, basically. But the illustrations are lovely. I mean, she has one for New York. She has this one for Paris. She does a lot of pen and ink and then adds some color. And what I like is that at the beginning of each of the books, she tells you her favorite things and what to pack. So an idea of what you should be taking to Paris. And I have still 3 more. This is a very, very endearing book. It came out a few years ago. It's the first in a series of the series called The Writer and the City. And Edmund White is called the Flaneur, okay? A stroll through the paradoxes of Paris. It gives literary references, and Paris is a highly literary city, to places in Paris. It tells a lot about Colette, the writer Colette, but also some other writers and how they lived and where they went. And it's as if flaneur is called the person who just, walks about the city or an area, and you just take in the sights, the sounds. You become an observer of the area that you're visiting. And I think that's the best way of doing tourism, because you really become a part of the place that you're visiting. And I think that's what everyone should aim for when traveling. This one has no pictures, but I really recommend it. Yes, before you go to Paris, get inspired here. A very modern, recent guide. This is also from a series of great Parisian neighborhoods. This one is about Montparnasse. This is the 3rd book in the series. There's one, the first one was Saint-Germain, the other one was Montmartre, 3rd one, Montparnasse. And they're all written by the same guy, John Baxter. And he's written quite a few books about Paris. I found this one, I don't like the other books as much, but this one, maybe because I'm not very familiar with Montparnasse, but this particular book is very enlightening. All the cafes, the Dôme, La Coupole, La Closerie de Lilas. Hemingway figures prominently. Look at this endearing picture of him and Bambi, his firstborn. This is the baby is the father of the girls, Margot, Marielle, Hemingway. And yes, it gives you, here are Dali and Man Ray, because all these people in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, they all were there in that area of Paris. That is the artists' quarter par excellence. So lots to discover there, and since I'm going, I already have my reservation for La Coupole. So I thought it would be a good idea. And yes, I've become quite familiar with Montparnasse and places where I may want to go. Last but not least, the book that you should read if you go to Paris, and this is Hemingway, A Movable Feast. And I've never read anything by Hemingway. This is my very first Hemingway, and it's probably not his best. Here he tells he tells about the time when he was just first married. He was poor. He just went to Paris working as a journalist, and eventually he just quit and tried to make it as a full-time writer of stories and eventually books. And is probably the last chapter is the most revealing and the most philosophical, in the sense that it will put you to think. It's called There Is Never Any End to Paris. He tells us about a lot of people. He tells us about Gertrude Stein and how his relationship with her came to an end, and a rather abrupt one. But you need to read it, because he leaves it open to your interpretation, but I think we all know what he's talking about. Lots about Scott Fitzgerald, whom he obviously admired a lot, and had such a sad ending. Shakespeare and Company, the bookstore. Ezra Pound, some about James Joyce, Evan Shipman, lots of characters that he met. Now, the last chapter is not about Paris at all, because he tells about when he actually left Paris with his wife and they went to live in Austria for a while, and that's where he penned his first novel, The Sun Also Rises. But in the end, he tells us how, you know, he got lost in everything and how he became famous for the wrong reasons. Or when he became famous, he did not pay attention anymore to the things that were truly important. Now that he had the means to perhaps, you know, give his wife a good life, pay attention to his child, he didn't do it because the attractions of fame, the opportunities that fame brought, very much led him astray. And I think this all happens to everyone. This happens to everyone. Some people obviously do not go astray and know how to keep it under control. But the temptations are always there. When you become famous, you have a lot of more resources, more perks, but some of them may be ostensibly shown as advantages when in reality are traps. So a very, very interesting book. He has a very unique writing style, which at first annoyed me when I started reading, because it seemed very basic. It's not. Hemingway is profound. So yes, that is the end. All the books about Paris to get you inspired about going to Paris. Let me know if you like the video, and subscribe to my channel. Give me the thumbs up, and I shall see you in my next one.